Welcome to the Candidates Forum for those individuals seeking the nomination for the Republican Party in House District 49. We are so happy to have you join us today, and we do hope that you find this forum both interesting and informative. We'd like to thank our co-sponsors, the Montevallo Chamber of Commerce and the Shelby County News Incorporated. At this time, I'd also like to thank our candidates, and I will introduce them in alphabetical order: Russell Bedsole and Mimi Penhale. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today and making this virtual forum possible. It is also a testament of your desire and dedication to serve the citizens of District 49 and the state of Alabama that you've taken your time to join us. At this time, I'd like to go into the format for today's forum. The candidates have not been given a question ahead of time. Every candidate will have an opportunity to answer each question and given 2 minutes to respond. We will start off in alphabetical order, and after a sequence of questions, we will switch that order so that each candidate has an opportunity to go first. To keep us on track, Steve Gilbert with the Chamber of Commerce in Montevallo will hold up a card indicating to the candidate that he or she is running out of time. Kurt Manser, who is our CEO and chairman of the Shelby County Chamber, will be asking the questions. At this time, it is time for us to move on to the question and answer forum.
We'll begin with our first question for Mr. Bedsole. Mr. Bedsole, why do you want to be the Republican nominee for the special 49th House District election?
Well, thank you for the question, and I'd like to thank the Chamber and Shelby County Reporter for partnering for this event. It's very important to allow the voters of District 49 to have the opportunity to hear from the candidates. So, in response to your question, though, I think I would say this: why not? Someone like myself who has created a career in public service that goes back about 22 years ago, serving in law enforcement for the first time. Been in Shelby County most of that career and had a chance to serve the citizens through my law enforcement experience. What I learned early on is what I loved about law enforcement was the ability to help and to serve. And so truly my desire to get into law enforcement had everything to do with serving. And then a short time later had an opportunity to begin to serve 8 fantastic years as part of a city council, and just furthered my investment in the community. And so as we had this opportunity and I saw the chances to take my lifetime of adult servanthood to a little bit larger area, to the people of House District 49, the great people down into Bibb County, all the way down to Brent and Centerville and Northwest Chilton County, and the people around the Jemison area. So my desire to be a part of this is to be a great leader and representative for them that can represent their voice in Montgomery. And I've said it time and time again, my job is to represent the people of District 49 and never try to represent Montgomery back to them. We don't want Montgomery. No one in this district wants to have Montgomery tell them what to do, but they need a leader in this district that will stand up and listen to them when they need a voice.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Penhale, same first question to you. Why do you want to be the Republican nominee for the special 49th House District election?
For the last 9 years, I've been working with the Shelby County Legislative Delegation Office. I've been working with the constituents of this district as well as the surrounding districts. I've been listening to them, working with their schools and cities on infrastructure and grant projects, and I've been their advocate in state government. I'm hoping that I can continue to do so, this time with a chance to vote for them.
Thank you. And now we'll begin our second question with you, Ms. Penhale. What, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibilities of an Alabama state representative?
I think it's the job of a legislator to be the voice of the people that they represent. I think that they need to understand the district, understand what they're getting themselves into, and understand that there's going to be differences of opinions when it comes to constituents, when it comes to other legislators, and when it comes to state government in general. But it's your job to be an advocate for them. You're supposed to focus on what it is that you are doing, and that is being their voice.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bedsole, same second question for you. What, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibilities of an Alabama state representative?
Yeah, again, thank you for that question, because I think one of the important things to remember is that this position is someone that is chosen by the people to represent them. Recently, I was out meeting some of the voters in the district and had a gentleman ask me, well, if you're elected and you get to Montgomery, what's going to be your top 5 agenda items? And I really found the question to be odd because I really did get into this position or seek in this office to represent the people. And so my response simple to him was my top agenda items are whatever the people of District 49 say that they are. And the only way that we know that is to get out and speak to the voters and understand what's important to them. And so first and foremost, I'm going to listen to what the voters have to say, building those relationships inside of the communities. And that's all of the communities of this district. As we know, this district stretches from the northern part is in Alabaster all the way down to southern Bibb County. And each of them have uniquely different needs, perspectives, and desires for what is best for their district. And so I think as a candidate that has a lot of experience already representing a constituency and doing so for 8 years, I'm in tune to understanding that inside of our population, we have different needs and desires. And to have a representative that is just willing sometimes, honestly, sincerely, just to shut their mouth and listen to what the voters and what the constituents want and empower them, because at the end of the day, the person elected to this position will be their voice in Montgomery. And that's what the voters really want, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. For our third question, Mr. Bedsole, if you're elected, what specific skills or strengths do you possess which you believe will benefit House District 49?
Yeah, consistently throughout this campaign, we've run on the idea of leadership and experience. 22 years of leadership experience that honestly started 22 years ago. It's not something that you can simply talk about and just all of a sudden that you have. 22 years of working in law enforcement from the ground level as a patrolman, responding to high-stress incident calls, making split-second decisions, progressing in my career to investigator, that we're seeking out the perpetrator. We were being the voice for the victim. Again, it's that relationship of being the voice for our citizens, all the way to being a commander now at the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, being in that leadership role and mentoring and teaching. Those things you just can't happen overnight. I've built that over 22 years. And then again, added on with the experience of being serving as a councilman for 8 years, continuing to build those relationships with our constituents, being in tune with what their needs and desires are. It's one thing to talk about it and see other people do it, but it's a whole other thing to be in that seat and do it. I've been there to meet and talk with the constituents. I've built those relationships through law enforcement and city council. But the other part and component of that is a real strength of mine is the fact that I've sat in the seat as a councilman, up on the podium, looking your neighbors in the eye, your friends in the eye. And sometimes you have to make that tough vote. And that's a very difficult thing to do because you know that some of your constituency may not like the way you vote, but you're doing it it's in the best interest of who you're representing, which would be the entire district, or when I get elected, it'll be what's in the best interest for the people of the state of Alabama.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Penhale, same question. If you're elected, what specific skills or strengths do you possess which you believe will benefit House District 49?
Since I already know and understand the district, I've been working with the district, I've been working with the cities and the schools and the businesses in this district, I believe that my skills are those of understanding what I'm getting myself into. I understand the strengths and weaknesses of the district, and for 9 years, I've been down working at the State House. I know how legislation is drafted. I've helped follow and draft legislation. I've helped better understand how this legislation is going to affect the people, and I understand how the fiscal note is going to affect the people. It shows me that this is what legislation can do, and it can show me the way that legislation can adversely affect people that it impacts. And so I think it's the job of a legislator to be able to focus on how to take that impact on the people and make it a positive impact and not a negative one.
Thank you. Fourth question, starting with Ms. Penhale. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you're elected the GOP nominee for this special election?
I think the 3 focuses that I would want to focus on would be infrastructure. I think that the roads and bridges that are in District 49 are in bad shape. And it's oftentimes us that ask the state that asks people from these rural areas to drive the furthest for work, for education, and for healthcare. And I think that we need to focus on strengthening those. I think we also need to focus on education. in these rural areas, we're also seeing schools that are lacking some of the basic needs that we take for granted at some of our other institutions that have more money. I think that when we're looking at a state plan to have school completely online or an online option, it's impossible in this district because internet is not all over. And so when we're asking schools and businesses to move into these areas and to thrive, they're not able to do so because we've moved into a day and age where internet is a part of everything that we do. I also think that we can continue to work on our healthcare in this district. Luckily, in this district, we have two really great hospitals. A rural hospital that is an example to everyone in the state with Bibb County Medical Center and the wonderful things it's doing, not only in the area, but in the entire county. And then you also have Shelby Baptist and Medical Mile in Alabaster that's providing a lot of healthcare for North Chelton, for Bibb County, and for Shelby County. And I think that we need to continue to grow on that, to continue to foster those relationships and provide opportunities for them to be successful.
Thank you. And Mr. Bedsole, same question for you. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you're elected the GOP nominee for this special election?
Yeah, another great question. And again, thank you for that. I think first and foremost, at the end of the day, I've been out there building relationships. One of the things that I hope to accomplish pretty quick is earning the trust of the people of District 49. I mean, simply put, you cannot be an effective representative if you can't earn their trust. And so I recognize already that there is a portion of District 49 that doesn't know me. They have no idea what I've stood for in the past, and they have really little idea where this is going forward. But hopefully, as we've built these relationships, that they're going to see the type of person I am. And they can look at my record as I've represented the people of Alabaster. They can look at 22 years of leadership and law enforcement experience that has developed into who I am today. So first and foremost, I think the important thing is to come out of this building those relationships. The next thing that I'd like to do is something I've campaigned a lot on, is I want them at the end of this term to say we are a better and safer community than we were when this whole thing began with this representative. We have campaigned consistently on being a law and order candidate, and I'm going to hopefully do those things in Montgomery that is going to make our community safer. We're going to hopefully pass some laws to give more support to our police officers out in the community, do those things that are going to give them confidence that their state elected officials are working hard to keep them safe. And then one of the biggest last things I want to do, and the list is a lot longer than just 3, but we're going to talk about continued economic development. Places in Bibb County specifically are hungry for it. And not only are they hungry for it, they are primed and ready for it. I see so many great things that I have seen elsewhere in other places that Bibb County is ready to go. My past experience of working in economic development through my elected office is going to be great to lend a helping hand to their local officials, giving them assistance from the state level, but knowing when to stay out of the way and let local government do what they do best is to serve their citizens. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of really assisting them from the state level, of bringing in some great economic development opportunities to all of Bibb County, Shelby County, and to Chilton County.
Thank you. For our 5th question, Mr. Bedsole, fill in the blank. If elected in November, the first piece of legislation which I will introduce as state representative for the 49th District will be blank. And then please share with us why this legislation is so important.
Yeah, wow, y'all really came with a nice hard one there to try to pin down that one topic and idea. So, but that's an awesome question. So, well, I think there's so many wonderful things, and it would be hard to narrow it down to one. But something that has just really been the continual focus as we've talked to so many people in this district is they're uneasy with how the situation is going on throughout our country and how they feel less safe in their homes with all the civil unrest. And the message they've repeatedly wanted to know is we want to tell you that we support law enforcement, and we want those things for you to do those things in Montgomery that is going to reassure our police officers in our community that we support them. And so I think you're going to see a lot of great things that are coming down from the federal level. I am anxious and excited about the opportunity as those come from the federal level that we here in the state of Alabama, and me with a lot of law enforcement expertise, we're going to have a chance to take those guidance from the federal level and craft them and mold them into something that's incredibly beneficial in our state. And what I'm talking about is these smaller agencies that we have in our community, the chance to bring to them some funding so they get the training that they need And what that means for the citizens of those communities is they're going to get a better law enforcement product that's going to be able to serve and protect them the way they should. It's unfortunate they haven't had the chance to do the training, but it's because they haven't had the funding and guidance. And so I'm looking for that opportunity to serve in some leadership roles to really bring that down to the local level. So our communities, at the end of the day, they're going to be safer, and they're going to be better trained, and they're going to have a better law enforcement product than they ever had.
Thank you. And Ms. Penhale, same question to you. Fill in the blank. If elected in November, the first piece of legislation which I will introduce as state representative for the 49th district will be blank. And then please share with us why this legislation is so important.
The first piece of legislation that I'm interested in seeing is legislation that challenges state government to step up and move into the 21st century. It is ridiculous that state government is still asking people who are unemployed to fax in paperwork, especially during a pandemic when it's not possible. Not many people have fax machines sitting around their houses. So now we're asking somebody to go out, leave their house, and try to find a fax machine when libraries are closed and many businesses are too. And this is not the only group that does this. They're still requiring faxes and outdated protocols throughout all of state government. Instead, we need to focus on how we can continue to make things cleaner and crisper and easier for individuals, for schools, and for businesses to be able to achieve their goals and not have to jump through red tape of the state government.
Thank you. For our sixth question, Ms. Penhale, beginning with you, how and when will you be accessible to the general public?
I will always be accessible to the public. I've spent 9 years answering their phone calls. I've answered the hard phone calls where somebody is angry at a decision I didn't make. And so now I want to have a chance to make those decisions for somebody. And I know that I can be accountable because I already have been. I know what it's like to face the tough questions. I know what it's like to face tough critics. But I also realize that an honest answer goes far further than ignoring the question. Oftentimes, we might not agree on a certain topic or a certain thing, but oftentimes we find ourselves agreeing on more than we expect. I mean, that's how this works, is as long as I'm willing to listen to the people who elected me, to better understand how a legislation impacts them, their lives, their businesses, their schools, then I will do a good job of being a legislator. If I don't, then I've missed the mark and it's not my place.
Thank you. And Mr. Bedsole, same question. How and when will you be accessible to the general public?
Yeah, great question, and it's simple and easy. Same way I have for the last 8 years as a city councilor. The phone number that I publish anywhere that we have an opportunity to share how to get in touch with me is my very own personal number. And I know well, that's a risky move there because you're going to get a lot of phone calls, but you're supposed to. If you are elected to represent a constituency, there's no hiding. There's no hiding behind a barrier of email systems or phone trees or anyone to take your messages back at the office. You're going to get me. You're going to be able to reach out directly to me. And if your comfort zone is a text message, send me a text. If your comfort zone is an email, by all means, email is great. I enjoy the one-on-one conversation, whether it be over the phone or if we have a chance to simply meet up and have a cup of coffee. So the way I'm going to be accessible is the way I have been already. This transition will be easy for me because I look forward to it. And we've already started through this campaign over 11 weeks of knocking on doors. I'm already doing it. Handing them my push card, write my phone number on it if they want it. Not even their representative, but I want them to understand that that's how they're going to be able to get me, as a direct phone call, email, or text. And day or night, I've been doing it my entire career.
Thank you. Question number 7, Mr. Bedsole. How would you describe the 49th House District when asked by someone wanting to start a business in the district?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things about this district is the diversity that does exist. I mean, certainly we can start in Alabaster with the pre-existing growth that has already occurred there, a lot of retail and commercial growth, and it's been fantastic. Plenty of access to rail, interstate system there as well. One of the most things I've been excited about as I've traveled around is what I see in our neighboring county over in Bibb County. They have a lot of resources, natural resources that exist in their county that will play very well for economic development. Whether you're talking about the road system in the north part of the county, easy access to the interstate system, but Highway 11 that goes east to west, 5 that goes north to south, all the way down to Centerville and Brent. And then in Brent and Centerville, Highway 82, Highway 25. I mean, this county has got a great road system in place. So if I'm talking to any of our partners that are seeking an opportunity to do economic development in Shelby County, in Bibb County specifically. There's a lot of great things in place, and they're certainly primed and ready. But the biggest thing that we can do as elected officials is try not to get in the way too much. We need to assist our local leaders that already have provision set up, corporate parks already set up. But what can we do on the state level to assist them? And that's important. My experience as a counselor has taught me that sometimes decisions are made on the state level that negatively impact things at home. It impacts the ability for your local lawmakers to be able to incentivize new business or to bring new business in. It may even cut off revenue streams. So having that experience, I'm going to be keenly aware of what decisions we make in Montgomery and how it affects everyone back at home. At the end of the day, economic development is a very good thing, done smartly and wisely by our communities. So we should do everything to support it. And when they call for us to ask for support to get economic development opportunities in their community, I'll be there to assist.
Thank you. And Ms. Penhale, how would you describe the 49th House District when asked by someone wanting to start a business in the district?
District 49 is very unique. We've got a lot of opportunities here in District 49 and a lot of different cities and counties that offer different things. In Alabaster, you have a growing area that is seeing a lot of families moving in, has got industry moving in, and has got a lot of opportunity. In Montevallo, you've got education. You've got a great university that oftentimes provides wonderful education within the reach of someone's home. So they're not having to pay out the pocket to go move somewhere, but you're still able to get that world-class education right in your backyard. In Bibb County, you've got industry that is coming in. You've got a hospital that is providing a lot of jobs and opportunities and is on top of being one of the best rural hospitals in the state. In Chilton County, we're going to have a new Alpha Ag Center that's going to provide opportunities for hotels to come in, for restaurants to come in, and for families to come in. It's going to provide jobs. And so this district is very unique, but it's unique in a great way, that it provides a lot of opportunities from those living in a rural area to those living in bigger cities.
Thank you. And now for our final question, Ms. Penhale, we'll begin with you. Why should the voters in this runoff election vote for you to be the Republican nominee?
From my experience, I've been able to work with individuals that are part of state government and the state legislature. I understand what I'm getting myself into. I also understand that while this is considered a part-time job, this really is a full-time job. You have to be in the district, you have to be active, and you have to be involved. And so I plan to make this my full-time job. I plan to be accountable to the people who elect me. I plan to be in their areas regularly, because if you're not there, you're going to miss out on what you're supposed to be doing as a legislator.
Thank you. And Mr. Bedsole, same question. Why should the voters in this runoff election vote for you to be the Republican nominee?
Yeah, I think that's a great question as well. And I think the answer goes back to experience. These are some things possibly I was going to hit on my closing comments, but I think it's important to mention now. Sometimes in elections, we look at things as, well, they're as Republican as I am, or they're as conservative as I am, or I like the way they talk, I like the way they look. Sometimes it boils down to just being popularity contests. But I think we need to look at this as a job interview. We need to look at the person's qualifications and say, who is the most qualified candidate? With 22 years of professional experience serving citizens through law enforcement, 8 years of serving them as a counselor, that experience has led me to where I am today, where I have a lot of great insight on these things and abilities to lead and direct them. And also as a personal attribute that I have to give all the credit to my parents. They raised an individual to understand the right way and a good handshake and look someone in the eye. And that's what it's about, building those relationships. So, the district voters of District 49, I just would ask them to look at those things and at the end of the day, make the best choice for the most qualified candidate.
Thank you. This concludes the question and answer portion of our forum. We'll begin the closing comment portion in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Ms. Penhale. Ms. Penhale?
My name is Mimi Penhale, and I'm running for House District 49. I'm the daughter of a bison farmer, so I understand how production can be impacted by legislation from the bottom to the top. I'm a graduate of Troy University, where I got a degree in biology, and a graduate of UAB, where I got a degree and a master's in public health policy. So I understand how policy can impact business and healthcare. For the last 9 years, I've served as legislative director for Shelby County. I've worked with 11 legislators who've represented Shelby County in the Alabama House and Senate. I've worked with their counties, cities, citizens, businesses, and schools to ensure that they don't get lost in state government. I help them try to obtain grants, and I help try to fix their problems. For the last 8 years, I've served as the vice chair for the Shelby County Chamber Governmental Affairs Work Group. I've worked with business leaders in our area to ensure that the legislation we pass makes their lives better, not worse. It makes their jobs easier, not harder. I am a pro-business Republican who believes in conservative legislation that's going to benefit our area and provide opportunities for our schools, businesses, and citizens. And now I'm asking for your vote on September 1st.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Bedsole, your closing comment.
Well, I'd like to begin my closing remarks with kind of where I started them. I'd like to thank the Chamber for this event, the opportunity for the voters of District 49 to hear from the candidates, and also the Shelby County Reporter for their assistance in making this happen. I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank my co-candidate, Ms. Penhale, for her dedication and putting herself out here for the voters to have a fantastic decision to make on September 1st. So I'd like to start here with personal comments about myself. As I alluded to earlier, I think this race is really about experience. It's a lifetime of experience that for me was built and started about 22 years ago. This isn't experience simply, as I've said before, that you can talk about. This is experience that has to be built with time. You're the sum of all of your parts, and those parts are built up with a lot of time. 22 years ago, I invested a career in law enforcement and began simply as a patrolman on the streets. Many high-stress calls were responded to, reaching out and helping the citizens in the community when they're the greatest need. Some of those calls did require split-second decisions, and all of that builds just a level of experience that cannot be created overnight. 22 years has led into being an investigator, being the voice of a victim. The victims often don't know who to turn to or who to trust after they've been victimized, and what they want is you to find their perpetrator. And then my job was to locate the perpetrator and bring them to the court system for them to then hold accountable, providing that safety net, building those relationships with those victims. Through several years later of promotions and becoming a commander, that ability to mentor and lead young, up-and-coming law enforcement officers. Again, that opportunity to create a better law enforcement product from the day you found it, and creating an environment that the citizens know that they can trust their law enforcement partner through good leadership. About 8 years ago, I had the fortunate opportunity to begin serving the citizens of Alabaster. In my leadership role as a counselor, I was just continuing to build on that service to my community, building those relationships with my constituents, knowing how to represent each and every person. When you get elected to represent an area, you have to be willing to represent the entire area. Diversity or not, you have to be willing to represent every single person in their unique positions. As a counselor, those relationships and representing those constituents is very important. Another huge component of that as a counselor or as an elected official is you have to be willing to make the hard call. Sometimes you're going to be asked to make a vote, whether you're going to be morally or personally convicted, and some of your constituents are going to have a certain point of view. The hard decision for you sometimes is how to go, how to vote on this. And you have to be able to look your constituents in the eye. Many of them are your friends, family, or friends of friends. And you have to make that tough vote. And I've sat in that seat many times, and often, and a few times even been the lone no vote, because I didn't think it was in the best interest of our community. That all leads us to where we are today. As an elected official for 8 years, serving the citizens, 22 years of law enforcement experience, being a leader in working with our community. I'm now here asking for your support in this District 49 race. This is one which the same model of serving citizens day and night have been working on for the last 22 years. So with that, on September 1st, I humbly ask for your support and your vote for District 49.
Okay, well, thank you so much, candidates. That was so informative. We do appreciate you sharing your vision, your thoughts. And at this time, I'd like to also thank our sponsors, our co-sponsors, the Montevallo Chamber of Commerce and the Shelby County News. And most importantly, we want to thank you, the viewers. And if you are a Republican in the House District 49, we urge you to get out and vote on September the 1st, Tuesday, September the 1st, for your Republican candidate. Thank you so much.